Hi everyone, it's Justin. I'm going to make another video here talking a little bit about my second month at Western Governors University. The aim here is just to share a little bit about how the experience went and where I'm at, as well as what I liked, learned, and would change about the upcoming months as I continue forward on the accelerated path, which is 6 months. So I should just give you a recap of where I'm at. So in the first month, I was able to complete 3 courses, and that included I'm trying to think here, 8 performance assessments, which are papers. They were all papers. Now in the second month, I purposely slowed down a bit because I knew I would be a little bit busier because I was preparing for teaching in the fall. And I finished I'll say 1.75 courses. I'm just finishing the second course, but it's the beginning of September, so I'm just counting that as 2 courses. Now, like I mentioned in my last video, that was an update. I wanted to slow down the process because I knew I would be starting to teach, and I knew that I need to have time to prepare. So I wasn't going to be able to do like 2 or 3 assessments in a week, even though, you know, I could, but I didn't want to drain my energy doing that and overworking myself. So this month, where I'm at is I'm starting the 5th course, I'm finishing the 5th course and moving on to the 6th course. And something I'm going to mention about moving from the first 4 courses into the 5th course is that you do need to get permission from your mentor. However, my mentor was away, so meaning I had to figure out another way to get someone to open up access to these courses. Now, originally in my other video, I had said that this you could get access to the next batch, which meant the next 4 courses. So you'd have the first 4 done, and then you'd be able to look at the next 4. And then you register kind of one by one. However, what I learned is that you actually only register in the next course. And for the end of the program, if you're in the accelerated route, you're just kind of going course by course. Maybe sometimes they might open up 2 courses, but you know, generally it's just course by course. But because my mentor was away, I contacted her manager because she actually gave his email for those who were needing to have their questions answered. They could contact him. And I said to him, you know, I'm on the accelerated path. My mentor's approved that. She knows about it. She's in full support. I'm not quite finished my 4th course, but are you able to grant me permission to get into the 5th course? So in a way, there would be overlap. Now, I wanted to do that so that I could not wait around for the 5th course, because what I've heard online is that sometimes you're waiting time before you can get access, and it can be annoying if you're trying to go fast. Or not just go fast, but you're trying to kind of move on to the next assignment when you're ready. So he had replied, and he basically said, normally we don't do that, but because you've explained that you're on the accelerated path, and because it looks like you're in good standing, because he had looked through all my assignments, none of them I had needed revisions for, and I was, you know, obviously being very consistent with submitting, he said, we'll give you permission to go into the 5th course without finishing the 4th course. So I thought that was really helpful because I started to look at the 5th course and prime myself, which I like to do because it helps me open my mind to thinking about the next course before I start, and generating ideas about what to write about before just sitting down and trying to grind out a paper or whatnot. So I think that could be an option. I don't think you should go straight to your mentor's manager and ask. That's not, you know, what you should do, but you could go to your mentor and ask if they can open the course before you finish the 4th one, and maybe they'll give you permission. So something else I liked was that somewhere between, I don't know if it was the 4th or 5th course or somewhere around there, let's say it was curriculum design, because I'm in the Masters of Curriculum and Instruction program. I had booked an appointment with my instructor because I wasn't quite familiar with the content. Not only that, I was asked to discuss certain topics that were outside of my teaching experience. So I was supposed to talk about grade school, even though I talked about post-secondary, and I just was kind of uncomfortable with the idea of having to write confidently about that. So before she met with me, she emailed me and said, hey, we're going to be meeting on this day. You've booked that appointment. Great. Awesome. But can you prepare by looking at this document called Jumpstart? And so it was hidden somewhere in the portal. I don't know exactly where, but and maybe not all courses have it. Maybe it's just her course or other similar courses in the teaching college that you could ask. But anyways, she said, go to the portal, click on this, click on this, click on this, log into some Microsoft email, which is interesting because you have a Gmail through Western Governors, not a Microsoft, but I guess they have another email that you have access to. And then you can get this Microsoft document that has an outline of all the different suggestions on how to do your assignment and all the different concerns that might come up, and basically really pointing you on the right direction. So basically what it's doing is taking the rubric but taking it one step further and just kind of giving you added suggestions. I think what they've done is, students over the years have asked questions that are reoccurring or similar, or there's a pattern. And so they've kind of built a document that is not super long, maybe it's only 3 or 4 pages, and it discusses all the assessments in that one course to help you really target your critical thinking and pinpoint exactly what needs to be discussed. And so I was able to read that, and actually I kind of answered all my questions before I met her. But then when I met her, she actually helped me push it that much further, my thinking about what I was going to write about. And then she also said that, I hadn't read a certain area in the rubric correctly, and that I didn't have to write about grade school, that there was a contingency or a plan B for people who weren't teaching in that area. And so I was really happy to know that, because I wasn't going to write about something that I had no experience with. Now, I think in the future there are courses that are outside of my realm still. There is no contingency for that. But at that point, I'll just reach out again to her and she can help me, because I found it very useful to talk to the instructor. And I just find them really friendly. This is the second one I've had, and they really want to help. It's not like they're there being like, like checking their time. They really want to spend the full time with you, or at least the ones I've met with. So things that I learned this time around is that in my other video, I had mentioned that if you don't pass your performance assessment, that you're able to go back and submit it again after you made some revisions. And you can do that as many times as you want. And I still think I still am almost certain that that's true, because in the orientation, that's what the orientation instructor mentioned is, don't feel hesitant to submit a performance assessment, because you can just keep submitting one. However, I've read online and I've also listened to a video of someone saying that in order to resubmit, if you didn't pass it on the first try, you actually need to first book an appointment with your instructor, or I think you might be even able to email them what you're going to be doing to revise, and then get their approval before submitting again. And I think that's just to target your revisions in a way that's going to be useful for the evaluators to reevaluate. I think it might be a nuisance for people to reevaluate if you're just kind of randomly, arbitrarily trying to make revisions. I think they really want you to focus on what needs to be revised and do it well, just to streamline the process for everyone. So just keep that in mind. That's something I learned. But at this point, I haven't actually, like I said, in the first month, 8 assessments, and now I've done additional 5, so 13, or around 13. I haven't actually failed or got one back to revise, so I've actually passed all of them. And now at this point, I've actually ended up getting a few different of the excellence awards that I mentioned in my second video, where they give you an award if you meet a high degree of excellence beyond competency, and they give you a description. The evaluator gives you a description exactly why. One of the awards I got, they didn't give me a clear description. It was just like, oh, this was really good because, and then just a few generic reasons. But the second, I've got 3 awards now, and the third one was very descriptive and exactly why, and they were copying from my paper and explaining why this example was very strong. And so it really taught me that they're looking closely at what you're writing about, and I really like that. I really admire that. Now I researched online, and what I learned was that, they're not just randomly giving out these excellence awards. They're giving them to people who really do deserve them, and there are many people who never get them. So if you do get one, I think you should think of it as just not a handout, but something that's really motivating and that they're really acknowledging the work you've done. And again, I looked online and there are many people who had never heard of them before. My mentor said that they don't give them out too often. And she even messaged me after my third one and was just like, holy crap, like you're doing really well. Like, she's like, this isn't common that you're getting so many. So, I hope that you're able to get them too if you push yourself beyond just like the level of competence. And for me, I think I'm able to do that because I really enjoy writing, and I try to give as much detail and description and reference, any type of research literature I can, and I try to do that as best as possible. So something else that I learned through this second month is that once you start doing some assignments within a certain field, such as curriculum and instruction, which is my program, it's possible that the assignments can kind of overlap and there can be some repetitive questions that they're asking you. So for example, I've noticed that like they're asking in, like maybe it's the second or third course, I can't remember, but they asked a little bit about student motivation in my learning context. And then now they're asking about it all over again, but in a different way. But they still want me to write about student motivation, which is fine, but I'm finding it like hard for me to think of new examples of how to write about it or talk about it. So I'm really referencing my last paper, and I'm taking some of that information and rewording it and changing it a bit, but I'm using it as inspiration, and I'm not feeling guilty about that because you probably won't have the same evaluator, and as long as you're kind of reworking it, it should be fine. But it's very possible that some programs, or based on the nature of the discipline you're in, again, mine curriculum and instruction, that there are only so many things, only so many questions or topics that you can critically analyze. And I'm okay with that. It does get a tiny bit tedious when you're having to write something again in a different way because you're kind of like, oh, I wrote about this. But it could also streamline and accelerate the process even more because you've already thought about it. So that's something that has pros and cons. So something that I'm going to change, which I don't believe I mentioned, I can't remember in this video, is I'm going to be doing just one assessment at a time moving forward. And that's because I don't need to do more than one, and I don't want to do more than one assessment. So I'm going to spend, let's say, a Saturday or Sunday, or kind of a hybrid of both, probably just a Saturday and maybe part of a Sunday, which is my weekend. I'm going to be doing one assessment, and I mapped it out, and I'm able to do that for the rest of the term, like the full 6-month term, right? And I had to really push myself at the beginning to be able to do that. So I had to work really hard to kind of do 2 or 3 assessments a week to now ease off a bit of grinding out work. And I did that purposefully so that I could enjoy the process a bit more while I'm teaching, and a little bit busier now that I'm working more. So really what I'm trying to do is take into account my life and not just focusing on Western Governors. I want to think about it in the context of other things, such as my work, such as my personal life, such as, I may be moving. So I'm glad to have a little bit of ease. Now, the way I've mapped it out is that I really do have to stick to my one assessment a week. And if I fall behind on that, I may not be able to stay within the 6 months. Now, that would obviously suck if I had to just do a couple weeks at the end in a final term. And keep in mind that there is this, I don't know what you call it, this alternative path that they don't advertise on Western Governors University's site. I don't know what they call it, I don't know what it's named, but you can take an additional month to do your capstone. So normally a term is 6 months, and you have to complete everything besides your capstone in that 6 months. But if you only have your capstone, you can apply for an additional month and focus on that. So my plan is in relation to that. It's taking into account that additional month. Now, I'm not going to be doing my capstone, which is like the final course, you could say. I'm not going to be doing that in 1 week. I'm going to be giving myself a month to do that, which I don't think I need. But I think that giving myself a month will really help me enjoy the process, but also just finish off with a little bit more ease than just trying to finish to the very, 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 very last minute and kind of stressing about it. So like I said, I'll be changing a little bit of my workflow. Before, I was trying to do like 2 to 3 in a week, which meant that every other day I was having to kind of look at things. Generally, I can finish a paper if I'm well versed in the area. I can finish that within 4 to 5 hours if I'm really focused. The first day I had to do it, I spent all day doing my assignment, so I think I've got faster and faster. But in the next courses, I've started to speculate that I'm not going to have as much knowledge in the area because I don't even really know much about the courses, like the course title. So I might have to spend a little bit more time than 4 to 5 hours writing a paper. I may actually have to designate the full day with lots of breaks so that I'm not burning myself out and just, again, taking joy in the writing, not just hating my life for writing so much, right? So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to try to answer them below. If I don't, I'll try to, mention something related to them if I notice it in another video. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see my journey. I'm going to be talking more about other things too, such as any type of educational topics, so how to do well as a student, how to stay motivated, and then even just as a working professional, some different things like productivity and navigating your career and just anything in that realm. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.